If you're thinking about making a move to Winter Park, then you're going to want to stick around. Today, we're going to be talking all about the area. I've personally lived in Central Florida for over 30 years. I've always lived in Florida my entire life. I know Tom has lived in Central Florida for over 40 years, so we're both really excited to talk to you guys about this topic today. And we're hoping by the end of this video, you'll get enough information out about it of whether or not you want to make the move here.
If this is your first time on our channel and you are interested in learning all the cool things about living in Winter Park and here in Central Florida, please tap the subscribe button and click the bell to get notifications. My name is Tom Nickley and this is my wife Alexis, and we have helped thousands of families over the last decade make the move and buy, sell, invest, and relocate here to Winter Park in Central Florida. Whether you're just looking for information or you're thinking about buying in the next 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years, we hope that you find this channel as an awesome resource for everything Central Florida. If you're looking for any additional information or if you have any questions, please contact us at the information below. You can shoot us a text, give us a call, or send us an email.
Let's get started. So I find that many people that are making a move specifically to Central Florida that are not from here, one of the areas that they typically always know and always ask me about every single time is Winter Park. It is one of those areas that is talked about the most, and I think because there are many reasons for that, right?
It's awesome.
I know that I love Winter Park. It is such an amazing area. And I think that one thing that I love about it is, you know, the vibe of the area. So with that being said, in your opinion, what do you think the vibe of the community is like? Do you think it's all young professionals? Is it family? Is it retirees? What do you think that looks like in your opinion?
Well, first and foremost, I will agree that Winter Park is just an amazing area. It's charming, it's awesome, there's so many things to do. It's such a beautiful area, all the lakes, the architecture, the homes. It is absolutely one of my favorite places in Central Florida. So it doesn't surprise me at all that people from outside of the area are attracted to Winter Park, because we live in a city right next door to Winter Park and we're attracted to the area. So as far as the overall area, Winter Park is a really, really awesome mix of all of the above. Young professionals, single people, people raising families with children and retirees, and I think that lends to the area. That's people go to Winter Park and it attracts everybody. There's something for everybody in Winter Park, and I think that the demographics and the household makeup is a huge reflection of that.
You know, if I could think of a word to help describe the vibe of Winter Park, I think the word that comes to mind would be prestigious. Like when it comes to Winter Park, it is, and most people know the Park Ave side of Winter Park, which I think we'll talk about both sides today. But when I think of just the word Winter Park, I think people naturally think of that Park Ave and Rollins College and all of the multi-million-dollar properties that are historic and estates that have been there for years and years. So when I think of Park Ave and walking down Park Ave, that's the vibe that I think of. But what I also want to talk about is not a lot of people know that Winter Park is really a mix of old and new now. When you think about Winter Park, most people think about Park Ave, but they have that entire Winter Park Village area that they literally just redid. Brand new construction. It's where the movie theater is. You have some shops and restaurants over there that are brand new. You have newer apartments over there. So I think when it comes to Winter Park, yes, originally, like my thought is like, Winter Park is so prestigious. And, but, you know, also realize, which can be intimidating, I think, for some young families thinking about moving to the area. But I feel like if you really get to know Winter Park, the best thing about it is it's a good mix of both, old and new. And with that being said, you know, we're talking about, you know, the area and it being historic and, families. I'm sure a lot of people would want to know, what are some of the community gatherings that they have in the area? For somebody who is not from Florida, moving to Winter Park, may not know anybody, what are some events that they have that helps you get developed into the area?
Yeah. Well, I will say that the one thing with Winter Park, and there's not just one thing about Winter Park, there's a lot of things about Winter Park, but there's just the sense of community, and there's always things going on.
Yeah.
Always things going on. If you just take the, kind of the centerpiece, you talked about Park Avenue, but there's Central Park right there and that's kind of the epicenter of where so many things happen. And if you were to look at it like a social calendar or an events calendar for Winter Park, there's literally something every single month.
Yeah.
But when you look at Central Park, I mean, it's everything from the farmers market on Saturday, which is super cool and attracts a whole lot of people. It used to be at the historic train station right there, but it's just got so big and so popular that they had to move it right a couple blocks down the street just to be able to handle as many people that would show up. But right along Central Park, I mean, you've got the Art Festival on Park Avenue. You've got the Winter Park Wine and Jazz Festival.
Yeah.
One of the things that happens a lot along Park Avenue is 4 or 5 or 6 times a year they have 5K races that start from Park Avenue. It's just because the area is so pristine. That area is so beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
And just the road races are, that community. We drive through Winter Park just to look at the homes and to drive through and just the tree coverage and just the architecture and those mansions along those lakes.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of 5K road races that throughout the course of the year, just because of how pristine those neighborhoods are. But they've got Christmas on the park. They've got a couple of different art festivals that happen there. They have the big sidewalk art festival that happens every single year. But that's just a few of the big ones. I mean, it is a very, very, very social city that has tons and tons of events throughout the course of the year.
One thing that you just touched on that I think would be good for people to know is you had mentioned just how beautiful Winter Park is and about the trees and about how, I know for us, sometimes we just drive through Winter Park to get inspired because those houses are they're so beautiful. They're so unique. There's no two alike in there. They all have a different story. And even though they're even doing some new construction in the area, it's almost like you wouldn't even be able to tell. Like the houses that have been built there, unless they're super modern, which I know we all can appreciate, even when they're built, they look like they've been there for years and years and years. Just the character of the neighborhood is gorgeous.
And then you've got the other side of Winter Park that just tends to be a lot more affordable and a lot more entry level-ish type of communities where, if you look at Old Winter Park, you're probably looking at almost $1 million for the average price of homes, but they can go up to $15-20 million for the biggest homes there. Where you go a little bit further down, and Old Winter Park is 32789 zip code, and the newer area of Winter Park is 32792. Where the average price point there is probably more like 500,000, 600,000. But that's the really cool thing about Winter Park is as pristine as it is, as high class as it is. There still are a lot of different areas and a lot of different neighborhoods that are definitely more reasonably priced and more easier to afford.
And I'm glad you actually said that because that's where I was going to go with the conversation is, many people think I could never live in Winter Park, right? If I'm not going to buy a luxury home, then maybe Winter Park is not for me. But there are areas of Winter Park, especially now, especially as it continues to grow, that is way more family friendly. I mean, I grew up, both my parents grew up in Winter Park Pines. They went to elementary, middle, and high school, Winter Park High School. And one thing I love about the area is that you have that mix of like that area that you can, that feels prestigious and it's luxurious, but then you have the areas of Winter Park that are super family friendly that are also some of the best schools in Florida.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I would say one of the reasons people stay in Winter Park is the schools are amazing. The area is amazing. The restaurants, all of those things combined, it's really hard to convince somebody once they move to Winter Park to move somewhere else. So I think it's a really great balance between, like we had mentioned before, there's the balance between the old and new, and there's a balance between the older and younger in that way too. As far as the grocery stores in the area, like people want to know, are they going to have to travel 45 minutes to get to the grocery store? And if there's a medical emergency, how quick is a hospital? So as far as accessibility to those types of places where you have those immediate needs, what do you think Winter Park is like?
We spend a lot of our time in Winter Park because it's literally everything from accessibility to restaurants, accessibility to grocery stores, accessibility to shopping, department stores, you name it. Everything is there. In addition, there's also, it's easily accessible to hospitals, right? You've got the Advent Health, which is not in Winter Park, it's in College Park, but you've also got the Winter Park Hospital that is in Winter Park as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. I think basically anything that you could need on a daily basis, whether it be from a grocery store, whether it be from a convenience store, they've got Walgreens, they've got CVS right there, whether it be from medical needs like you mentioned, I think Winter Park is definitely not lacking in that area at all. So if that is important to you, this is the spot for you. If there's something that, we haven't gone over today, if there's a question that you have, go ahead and leave it in the comments below, reach out to us. We're happy to guide you on all of things Winter Park. And like he mentioned in the beginning, we're going to be doing lots of these videos. So if Winter Park is maybe not your place, but you're looking at other areas in Central Florida, I bet you we have a video on that. So go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, tap that bell, and tune in because you'll see us here later on.